All right, class. We have Nate, Tony, Success, Alma, Krista, Jessica, and Chandler, and we found a new addiction that we think you guys would be interested in. Porn addiction seems to be a new addiction that no one seems to make note of, so hold on to your chairs because here goes nothing.
Japanese girls exchanging bodily fluids? Click.
Whether you think it's a real thing that both men and women can suffer from, or an excuse for the sexually deprived to justify their behavior, these are some things that you might not know about this controversial topic.
Of course, we all know the normal, healthy male thinks only of sex occasionally and has no desire for sex with multiple partners.
Definitely true. Yes, we all know that. Go on.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Top 5 Facts. In today's installment, we're counting down the 5 most intriguing facts about porn addiction.
So I'll start off with some stills. Then, once I'm getting into it, I start looking for a video.
We'll keep the visuals PG here, but this episode will deal with some frank sexual content, so, viewer discretion and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't really show dick going in, which is a huge concern.
I didn't realize that.
Plus, have you ever seen a vagina by itself? Not for me.
Number 5. Celebrity struggles have shed light on porn addiction.
For years, my dirty little secret was that I was addicted to pornography.
While it's a long-standing taboo topic for many, the concept of porn addiction was thrust into the spotlight when actor Terry Crews posted a series of videos detailing his struggles with the affliction.
It really messed up my life in a lot of ways.
And he may not be the first either. David Duchovny and Tiger Woods both checked themselves into sex rehab in the past, and some sources speculated that porn addiction may have played a role in their struggles.
So what are your thoughts on rehab?
Rehab is for quitters.
Similarly, though they've apparently never stated it outright, John Mayer and Kanye West have sometimes been labeled as porn addicts. With the assumption that these celebrities should have no trouble getting laid, the stereotypical image of someone who would be addicted to porn seems to be debunked.
Now I'm definitely, for sure, absolutely not going to sleep with you.
Whether you're a celebrity in need of rehab, though, or just an average Joe, there is currently a subreddit support group for those suffering. It's called NoFap and currently has over 175,000 followers. Number 4. Pornography addiction is becoming a huge problem for teenagers. In the olden days, it was easy for parents to monitor what their kids saw on the internet. Now though, them kids have got phones, tablets, and laptops, and Wi-Fi in every room of the house, and even the tool shed in a pinch. So there's virtually no barrier between them and porn.
Pretty amazing how easy it is to get porn on the go these days.
According to psychotherapists, this exposure is a serious issue, as it could be presenting them with a false image of sexuality.
Don't make me feel weird because I like porn. You're the weird one for not liking porn. I'm normal as shit.
Porn is a fantasy. It's no different than watching an episode of a fantasy show like Game of Thrones. Well, it's a little different than Game of Thrones, but not much. For many young people, on the other hand, whose only understanding of sexuality is what they see online, experts say that it can create a distorted vision of intimacy and make it nearly impossible to maintain a real romantic relationship.
You're not capable of a relationship, John. You're not.
Nah, right now, I'm not.
Number 3. Pornography addiction is a small subset of sex addiction.
Hey, wanna ride?
Sure.
Earlier, we mentioned sex addiction, which is sometimes referred to as hypersexuality or hypersexual disorder, and is defined as a compulsive need to have sexual activity despite the ensuing potential negative consequences.
People want to know how I could have done these things to my wife, Elin, and to my children.
As both activities release the same pleasure chemicals into the brain, many are quick to lump pornography in with the addiction. However, the two are differentiated by the fact that sex addiction requires a predilection towards something like intercourse, while pornography addiction merely implies a need to view explicit material. In other words, many sex addicts overuse pornography, but pornography addicts often don't crave sex per se. But more on that later.
Your hard drive is filthy, right? We got your computer back. I mean, it is dirty.
Number 2. Porn addiction is not in the DSM. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, is published by the American Psychiatric Association in order to help doctors classify and treat mental disorders.
Sexual addiction's not a real thing, asshole!
Well, just wait till the new DSM comes out, then we'll see.
We'll see us still being an asshole!
The latest version, the DSM-5, which was published in 2013, notably did not include pornography addiction due to conflicting research and opinions regarding its addictive nature. But so what, right? People still have it, so why should this book matter? Well, the problem is that the DSM is utilized not only by medical professionals, but also insurance companies and the legal system. So for someone who has a personality disorder, even a substance abuse problem, doctors can use the DSM to establish proper treatments, while their employers are able to give them time off work to recover, and insurance companies can offer coverage for treatment. For those claiming to have a pornography addiction, this makes treatment options a lot less accessible. Number 1. For porn addicts, pornography is better than sex.
For the next few minutes, all the bullshit fades away, and the only thing in the world is those tits, that ass, the blowjob, the cowboy, the doggy, the money shot, and that's it.
We may think of consuming pornography as a substitute for actual, more than one live person involved style sex. But for porn addicts, the fantasies that are represented in porn don't live up to sex in real life.
I know, that last one sounds weird, but I'm just being honest. Nothing else does it for me the same way.
According to a study in the Journal of Sex Research, men who watch porn once a week have a greater desire for partners who talk dirty, dominate them, use sex toys, engage in threesomes, and other common characteristics of women found in porn, compared to men who watch it less frequently.
Money shot? No. There is no real-life money shot. Real girls won't do that shit.
Women who watch porn are 3 times as likely to call the cable guy.
Hello, meine Dispatcher says there's something wrong with deine Kabel.
Just kidding. For addicts, this can take a toll on their relationships, as it makes it very difficult to enjoy intimacy with a partner, which can lead sufferers to avoid responsibilities and become emotionally distant.
No, it's cool. It's okay. Should I go?
Sure.
This in turn begins the same negative spiral that many addicts face, as their distance only drives them away from the people who would want to help them.
If you leave again, I don't think we'll be here when you get back.
So what do you think? Was porn addiction's exclusion from the DSM-5 a huge oversight, or is this just a phony affliction?
I could stop if I wanted to. I could.
For more addictive top 10s and overindulgent top 5s, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Look, the sex addiction. It's leaving my body.
I can feel it. I'm free. We are healed.
All right, guys, so here's our introduction. We know that you guys already know what addiction is because this is primarily what this course is based about.
Addiction is a chronic, progressive, and potentially fatal disease. It is characterized by tolerance, psychological, and physical dependence, pathogenic organ changes, all of which are the direct or indirect consequence of the substance consumed. And pornography.
Pornography, you say?
Pornography can be described as emphasizing the sensuous or sensational aspects of non-sexual subject and stimulating a compulsive interest in their audience. Some examples would be television programs, movies, commercials, magazines, books, etc.
You've all seen that clickbait where Facebook shows a half-naked woman wanting you to refinance your home or get your car loan cheaper and so forth. But it is also a $1 million industry it has been suggested that so many people are using porn today, the porn industry is actually making more money than all professional sports combined. And when we say that, you have to put in the aspect of how much money the NBA is making, the NBL, the NFL, and all major professional sports combined.
Porn addiction is considered a behavioral addiction that is characterized by an ever-growing compulsion to view pornographic content or material. It can affect anyone. Porn addiction hurts adults, children, couples, families, and society.
According to the National Coalition for the Protection of Children and Families, in 2010, 47% of families in the United States reported that pornography is a problem in their home.
40 million American people regularly visit porn sites.
And there are also about 200,000 Americans who are actually porn addicts.
Every second, 28,258 users are watching pornography on the internet.
Every second, $3,075.64 is being spent on pornography on the internet.
And did you guys also know that 25% of all search inquiries on the internet are related to pornography? Or you can also say about 68 million searches a day.
1/3 of all porn viewers are women. Development of tolerance. Over time, the brain adapts in a way that actually makes the sought-after substance or activity less pleasurable. In nature, rewards usually come only with time and effort. Addictive drugs and behaviors provide a shortcut, flooding the brain with dopamine and other neurotransmitters.
And learning about the addictive process.
Scientists once believed that the experience of pleasure alone was enough to prompt people to continue seeking an addictive substance or activity. But more recent research suggests that the situation is more complicated. Dopamine not only contributes to the experience of pleasure, but also plays a role in learning and memory, two key elements in this transition from liking something to becoming addicted to it.
According to the current theory about addiction, dopamine interacts with another neurotransmitter, glutamate, to take over the brain's system of reward-related learning. This system has an important role in sustaining life because it links activities needed for human survival, such as eating and sex, with pleasure and reward.
And the reward circuit in the brain includes involved with motivation and memory as well with pleasure. Addictive substances and behaviors stimulate the same circuit and then they overload it.
Repeated exposure to an addictive substance or behavior causes nerve cells in the nucleus accumbens and the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain involved in planning and executing tasks, to communicate in a way that couples liking something will want it, in turn driving us to go after it. That is, this process motivates us to take action to seek out the source of pleasure.
Effects on the brain. Now we have effects on the brain. So as you guys can see here, there's several parts of the brain that porn takes effect in.
Addictive drugs provide a shortcut to the brain's reward system by flooding the nucleus accumbens with dopamine. The hippocampus lays down memories of this rapid sense of satisfaction, and the amygdala creates a conditioned response to certain stimuli.
All right, now we're going to continue the effects on the brain. So when a person watches pornography, just like any other drug, dopamine releases in high doses, but also like many other drugs, you start to build a tolerance, and it is created by people needing more and more doses of it. This is problematic for many reasons. Pornography correlates with anxiety, depression, stress, and social problems. Even moderate doses of porn use is correlated with shrunken gray matter in parts of the brain that oversees cognitive functions. So basically, watching porn shrinks your ability to make decisions. There are clear differences in brain activities between patients who have compulsive sexual behavior and healthy volunteers. And dopamine is released mostly to further our probability of survival. For example, dopamine, which is our feel-good hormone, is released when we see food, motivating us to want to eat, or when a mother carries her newborn to motivate her to love and care for her baby. And dopamine is released when We see an attractive person motivating us to want to reproduce. Strong man.
The effects on relationships. Pornography use increases the marital infidelity rate by more than 300%. 68% of divorce cases involve one party meeting a new paramour over the internet, and 56% involve one party having an obsessive interest in pornographic websites. However, pornography may also be used in relationships in ways reported as being predominantly positive and mutual, and some sexual behaviors outside of relationships may help stabilize some relationships under circumstances. Negative consequences include feeling betrayed by and isolated from their partners. They experience increased conflict and deterioration in their communication as a couple. They feel confused and uncertain about their relationship. They experience a loss of trust in the relationship. It ruptures the dyadic attachment bond and relationship damage. They experience decreased sexual interest and more dissatisfaction with their sex life. They feel confused, fat, ugly, inadequate, sexually undesirable, and unhappy with themselves and their own bodies. They feel self-doubt, low self-worth, anxiety, fear, anger, depression, distress, and emotional harm. Findings from several qualitative studies suggest that heavy pornography use by a male partner can have a negative influence on his female partner's relational and sexual satisfaction, self-esteem, feelings about her body, and general well-being. Pornography use could be causing breakups because porn viewers' partners may react negatively to porn use. Discussions about pornography use often get brushed under the rug, along with other relationship issues, leading to unresolved conflict and problems down the road. Partners may experience increased insecurity and feelings of inadequacy, feelings of betrayal and hurt, resentment and anger. The hiding of porn use, and of course dishonesty in general, damages many relationships due to creating and sustaining feelings of injury and mistrust. It may also be the case that some individuals are more prone to either inadvertently pick partners who view pornography through some intervening factor, such as tending to gravitate toward narcissistic or abusive people, or to downplay the significance of pornography use and potential mates.
All right, guys, here we have a graph that shows porn use in romantic breakups. So as you can see, guys, to the left there is the probability of a breakup between 2006 and 2012.
It clearly shows the more frequently a person uses porn, the higher their chances are that they break up.
Porn also has an effect on society and the individual.
In addition to the effect on relationships, the effect on individual and society is also considered pervasive. Women are exposed to pornography as children are more accepting of rape fantasy myths. Porn addicts individuals more times, but not in all aspects, make less benefit to the society. Pornography has both its positive and negative effects on the society. Its positive effects are thus: it acts as a stress reliever. It acts as an inhibitor to impulses. Couples who watch pornography together have a happy and healthy sex life. It also serves as a source of income to service providers. Before the sexual minorities, LGBT rights were considered the only way they could satisfy themselves was through watching porn.
The negative effects are rape. Rape is considered one of the major outcomes of porn addiction. Most porn-addicted people who cannot control their urges become aggressive and take it out on women and children. It leads to increasing tendency towards violence and dehumanization. It makes people who view others as sexual objects, not as humans. Porn addiction affects good morality. It has an impact on more maturity of young generation. It exposes issues that have to be dealt with in privacy.
All right, guys, next up we have your signs and symptoms of porn addiction. Grab a piece of paper because this may be your Uncle Jim. What we have here is kind of a checklist of what you guys may need to go through to see if your Uncle Jim is hooked on porn. So, first thing is going to be requiring increasing amounts of more explicit porn to gain the same satisfaction or thrill, similar to the development of a tolerance. Some things to consider would be determine if you are hooked are if you feel powerless to resist the urge to view porn, or if you frequently spend more time or money on porn than you initially intended. If you have many unsuccessful attempts to limit or stop watching porn, you spend a significant portion of time viewing porn, thinking about porn, engaging activities that will enable the access to porn. You may also feel neglect from social activities, family, work, obligations to view porn. You may also use porn despite experiencing negative consequences. That could be losing your job or losing your family or losing your intimacy to your loved one. The last one is you pass up opportunities or consider passing up opportunities just so you can have more time to view porn. And you always feel anxious and stressed or irritable if you are unable to access porn, much like any other drug user.
Feeling as though one is living a double life or secret life because of porn use. A person with a porn addiction may feel guilty or ashamed and work hard to hide his or her porn viewing from others. Continuing to view porn despite negative consequences such as broken relationships or job loss. Relationships where one partner is addicted to porn can lead to a reduction in intimacy, emotional distance, reduced sexual satisfaction, and an overall poorer quality of relationship. Being unable to abstain from porn during work hours can lead to disciplinary action or even job loss. Losing track of large chunks of time due to being absorbed in porn use. Porn addicts may spend much of the day viewing pornography. This can lead to porn becoming a priority, with everything else set aside in favor of viewing porn.
Now, just because you're addicted to something, there's always going to be an alternative. So we have actually found a few treatment and recovery ideas for porn. So the most effective one that we found typically follows with the same basic approach that has been proven to work in the treatment of sexual addiction and substance use disorders.
Addressing the addiction, admit you have a problem, seek help, and find a professional who is experienced in treating porn addiction. Commitment. Work together, changing the patterns of behavior and thoughts that contribute to the addiction. Figure out what triggers you and develop relapse prevention skills. Finding support and understanding. Be honest with yourself, your therapist, and realize it's okay to confide in your family and friends, especially for additional help and accountability. They are there to help you. It's important to recognize that every porn addict's path to recovery and a healthier, happier, more fulfilling life will be different. Each addict has a unique background and a distinct pattern of problematic porn use and possibly other sexual behaviors. As such, every addict needs to find or create a program of recovery that fits his or her particular needs.
Do you have an addiction? Determining whether you have an addiction isn't completely straightforward, and admitting it isn't easy, largely because of the stigma and shame associated with addiction. But acknowledging the problem is the first step toward recovery. A yes answer to any of the following 3 questions suggests you may have a problem with addiction and should, at the very least, consult your healthcare provider for further evaluation and guidance. Do you use the substance or engage in the behavior more often than in the past? Do you have withdrawal symptoms when you don't have the substance or engage in the behavior? Or have you ever lied to anyone about your use of the substance or the extent of your behavior?